Going to do question number 201, night electronics. All right. So in that question, A has been already told to you. Question C is procedures, which is towards the 10th chapter. And question B is our person. That is 8 audit risk and explain the auditor's response. Okay. So you need to
Yes.
identify. So what I tell my students is that in the exam, if you are able to find the 8 risk, don't go further. Okay. But if you're unsure, just write one more extra if you have the time. Clear. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But for exam purpose, if a
Yes, ma'am.
16 marks question is asked divided by 2, that means 8 audit risk. Clear, no? So the marks would be split
Yes, ma'am.
in between the audit risk column and the response. So one marks each. Okay, so 2 marks per risk. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So here let's start. Okay. I'm gonna read and we're gonna identify. Okay. It is always and always start with noting what is the date today, what is the year end. Clear? So it is 1st July
Hello.
2005. Okay. Your firm is what? Hercules
Hello.
and Company. Hercules and Company is our firm, audit firm. Okay. And you have,
Ma'am, the voice not audible.
am I not audible? Hello? Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So they have an audit firm, right? Sorry, a client, right? So it is a new client.
Yes.
So that is our first risk. Okay. Because
Yes.
for new clients, we don't know how the business for them works. We don't know how their balances are, right? So it is always a
Yes, ma'am.
risk that we might not detect. Now, what is meant by audit risk actually? You have read the chapter, right? So audit risk is basically
Yes, ma'am.
the
An
audit,
inaccurate opinion.
yeah, incapability of finding misstatements in the client company's FS, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So there is misstatement, but the audit company has not been able to identify that, then that would lead to an audit risk. Understood? That means you're going
Yes,
to
ma'am.
give an opinion on the basis of the evidences that you're going to collect, that is sufficient appropriate evidence, right? So if you're not able to
Yes,
collect
ma'am.
sufficient appropriate evidence for the misstatements that has happened in the FS, then that becomes a risk for you because your opinion might not be aligned with what has really happened in the client company. Clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
So the year end is 30th September 2005. So this is a risk because it is a new client. So the chances are we are going to skip whatever was required while doing the audit and we might give a wrong audit opinion. Clear no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so audit risk is basically you're going to start with the heading. This is the audit risk column, all right? I'm talking about the audit risk column. So for audit risk column, you're going to start with the heading. Clear? And then
Yes,
the
ma'am.
same thing, that is the copy paste. Okay. And if possible, the real scenario or accounting standard that applies. Okay. So if it is not related with standard, what do you do? You state the facts. Clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Understood? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're going to give them whether or not what happens. So the impact on the FS. Clear? No? That is the impact that the risk would have on the FS. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, in the auditor's response column, you have studied about all the about the investigation, that is physical examination and stuff and like that, right? In the question, in the notes. So you're going
Yes,
to
ma'am.
use the same here. Okay. And audit
Okay.
response is not something that you can develop just like that. You need practice and practice and practice. You need to think like an auditor to write the response. Understood? Okay. So
Okay.
while you
Yes,
write
ma'am.
risk, always think like an auditor. Understood? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's see. Here we already identified that this is like the new client thing, right? So this is wrong. Okay. So you're going to
Okay.
write the heading as new audit client. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So new audit client. So what happens when the audit client is new? First, you are going to just copy paste this thing. Okay. So Night Electronics. Oh God. Okay. Is a new audit client for who? For Hercules company. Clear? So your copy
Yes,
paste
ma'am.
is done. So because you have identified the audit risk, you will get half marks here. Understood? The remaining half
Okay.
marks goes for how you explain the implication and how you explain what happens in the FS. Clear, no? Okay.
Oh,
So
yes,
if
ma'am.
it is a new audit client, then that means you are not familiar with the audit client at all, right? So you don't know
Yes,
what is their accounting policies. You don't know the nature of their transactions. You don't know how much balances have been carried forward or brought forward from the previous year, right? So
yes, yes.
this would actually lead to detection risk. Now remember, we have how many types of risk? Three, right? Name them.
Three. Yes. Inherent risk, control risk, detection risk.
Yes. So under that, it might be possible that we may not detect the risk, right? This is a detection risk because we may not be able to
Yes.
identify the risk because we are not familiar with the new client. Understood? So this would
Yes,
have
ma'am.
an increased possibility of detection risk. Clear? Okay. So
Yes,
apart
ma'am.
from that, it could also be said that we don't know their opening balance, right? Okay. So since we don't know how their opening balance has reached that stage, we might not be able to do a proper audit. Understood? So this is what we are going to word in English. Clear? So you
Okay.
understand and make it and polish the sentence professionally. Clear, no? So we're going to
Yes,
start
ma'am.
by saying Hercules company is not familiar with who? With the accounting
Right.
policies, okay, comma,
Yes.
transactions, okay, and opening balances or balances, right, of Night Electronics, okay, comma. As a result, this could lead to detection risk during the audit. Understood? Okay. And
Yes, ma'am.
additionally, what happens? Additionally, the opening balances,
Could be overstated.
could be less reliable because we can't rely because we don't know. Understood? And
Yes,
thus,
yes.
Hercules company may not be able to perform an appropriate audit function or appropriate audit. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Understood, no? Now the auditor's response. See, when the question here is our company, that is our audit firm, being not able to do the proper audit, okay? Because we don't know this company, we must make sure that we have enough experienced staff in order to detect the risk. Understood? So we have staff who has dealt with all the new companies. So we need those experienced staff in order to deal with this. So that is the first auditor's response. Understood? Okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
Hercules company should appoint experienced audit staff for the audit. Clear, no? This is the first
Yes,
response.
ma'am.
So I always see the marking scheme is simple. For one valid response, you get 1 mark. Only 1 point is needed. But I'm sure my students are not perfect in answering questions. So I tell them write two. Clear.
Oh,
So always and
clear, ma'am.
always write two responses. Okay. Write two
Okay.
valid responses because the chances are you guys might slip over your sentences. You might lack the professionalism in your tone, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
they need
ma'am.
to see your
Right.
answer. Or sometimes you might miss some details in the question and your answers might be not enough clear. So make sure
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
going to give them two responses and let them select. Clear? Not let them select, they are
Yes,
going to select the best out of it. Clear?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, now the problem is we don't know the client, so we may need to test more, right? Unlike the others. Okay. So we
Yes,
need more time. Understood? So that we are able
yes,
to understand night electronics completely and also we can assess any material misstatement. Understood?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a moment, Samruddhi. Okay. Since it is an unfamiliar company, the logic is simple. We need more time to understand them, right? We need more time in order
Yes,
to detect all the possible material misstatements, right? Okay.
yes,
So that is the next response. We need more time. Understood? Okay.
yes,
Okay. So we are going to write it down. Hercules company should get sufficient time to understand the night electronics. Okay. And
yes.
assess um, the possible material misstatements. Okay. That could occur. Okay. And brief the detailed information to the auditee. Understood? Simple. Okay. Just a moment.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now, this doesn't stop here. Okay. I'm going to make you study everything, every response. And in the exam, whatever you have in your mind, you write. Okay. So the third one is that we don't know how far the opening balances are correct, right? Okay. So what
Yes,
do? We're going to extend our audit procedures over the opening balances. Understood? Okay.
yes,
So
ma'am.
Hercules company should conduct, okay, extensive audit
Okay,
procedures on opening balances. Okay.
okay, ma'am.
Understood? Night Electronics Company.
Ma'am, in exam, like out of these risk question and control question, usually these scenarios put it up or like any other new also what can come.
New could be there, but most of the risk could be something that you have done in your in your practice kit. Okay. So
Okay,
similar could be there, new could also be there. Okay. The last
okay, ma'am.
time the students told me that the risk was very tough. Okay. But they had the other things that were easy. A set of question, the other set of students told that the risk the entire paper was easy, but the time was not enough. Okay. So it depends. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the second one. Let's see what happens next. efficiently control their security. The audit manager had a preliminary meeting with the finance director and has provided with you the following notes, right? Now, let's see.
Yes.
Since its launch 5 years ago, Electronic has experienced high levels of growth, such that the founder and CEO William Knight is considering a stock exchange listing next year. So, a part of, see, for the risk, usually we get audit risk related with standards that we study in FR. Okay. But apart from them, there are certain risks that are attached with it. For example, for being a new client, and the next example is of listing in a stock market. Clear?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So stock exchange listing is our next audit risk. Understood? Now,
Yes, ma'am.
so why is a stock exchange listing a next audit risk? Because see, for us, for getting ourselves listed in the stock exchange, there are certain requirements. Okay, that requirements could be
Yes.
related with our profit earning capacity. Understood? Okay.
Yes.
So it can be that the FS of the night electronics could be manipulated. Clear. So it could be edited in a way that it is going to show company on a very good light so that the stock exchange is smooth, right? So
Yes.
that's what we say window dressing. Understood?
Yes.
So it
Yes.
could
Yes.
be that. Okay. So they could
Okay.
do that. So that is the risk. Understood? So in order to list themselves in the stock exchange, they might overstate the profits. They might overstate the total assets. Clear? So we're going to
Yes,
mention
ma'am.
that. So the first sentence is going to be the copy paste from the sentence itself.
Okay.
That is
Yes.
from here till here. Okay,
Yes,
clear?
ma'am.
And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
you're going to say what is the implication or what is the consequence of this particular risk. Okay. So there is a risk
Yes.
that the directors who manages the FS and everything, directors, right? So there is a risk
Director.
that the
Yes.
night electronic company, the directors of night electronic company, okay, may might have, okay, manipulated the FS in order to overstate profits and total assets for stock exchange listing. Clear, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that is our take. Okay. Now we're going to say Hercules company is actually uh, has known that the stock exchange is due, right? So what do? We're going to again keep an experienced audit team. Okay. We're going to maintain our professional skepticism throughout the audit. Okay. And especially whether there is any major decision taking, we are going to apply more and more procedures and stuffs. Clear? Okay.
Okay.
And
Yes, ma'am.
we are also going to review all the decisions that are being judgmental decisions taken by the directors. Okay. And all the one-off journal entries. Understood?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So any possible misstatement that they could do, we are going to monitor that. Okay. Just a moment. The topic, no? Understood what I'm saying, Samriddhi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So in our own words again, what happens? We are going to appoint experienced team. Okay. That is one thing. We are
Yes.
going to apply professional skepticism. Okay.
Yes.
And all the especially our professional skepticism would be directed towards all the major judgments that is being done by the directors. Okay. And we'll also look
Yes.
towards the major judgmental decisions that is being taken and all the one-off journal entries. Because often, in order to, uh, increase that value of the total assets, there could be buying of very big assets, right? So one-off items would be checked. Clear?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So Hercules company should appoint, okay, experienced audit team, full stop. That is the first thing. Okay, full stop. Okay. Hercules company should maintain their professional skepticism, okay, throughout the audit, especially for especially where there have been, okay, major judgments taken by the directors. Clear? Full stop. Okay.
Yes.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am. We can also write in this audit risk say, part that this will lead to increased detection risk.
It's not necessary because this is not the detection risk. We already know, right? We already know.
Yes.
So there is no detection risk. In the previous risk, we wrote the detection risk because we don't know. We don't know what their balances
Yes.
are. Okay. Here
Yes.
we actually know where to look. Okay. We are careful about that. So there is no detection risk, but there is a risk that they might window dress things. Clear.
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
So any judgmental decisions and all the one-off journal entries should be reviewed. Okay. Now, in the exam, make sure you write the essay questions very carefully and then come back to the MCQs. Clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Your priority should be for MCQs because, sorry, for essays because for MCQs, no matter how much you do, no matter how much you try, all the four options are going to be same. It's going to look the same. So no matter how much time and effort you spend for MCQs, it is going to get wrong. Clear? So the only option is
Okay.
essay where whatever you input, all the valid points at least would have a half mark. Clear? So
Got
make
it. Yes,
sure
ma'am.
so make sure you attend the 60 marks question first and then, sorry, 70 marks question first and then go to 30 marks. Understood? I'm not saying
Yes,
you
ma'am.
don't need to attend MCQs at all. You need to attend MCQs, but make sure you write more of essays. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a moment. Next. Next, we are going to dive into the standards. Okay, let's see. Knight Electronics Company has both corporate and domestic customers. Okay. Now, on 1st October 2004, Knight Electronics Company began to offer customers the options to purchase a 3-year-old servicing agreement. Clear? This provides 3 annual services for products purchased. Customers pay for the servicing agreement in full at the start of the agreement. So this is about IFRS 15 that we are talking about. Clear?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Understood? So here
Yes, ma'am.
we're going to follow a different approach. We're going to start with the heading, the copy paste, and then the accounting standard, and then what happens to the SOPL or SOFP. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And for that purpose, we're going to bring in a word. Okay. Which word is that? Under or over statement. Clear? So under or
Yes.
over statement.
Um,
Understood? This is very important
Okay.
that we say them what happens. Clear?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So the next heading is 3. Servicing.
And ma'am, in accounting standards, like we will first mentioning the accounting standards, then its impact, like under and over. So here we don't need to mention like its impact on the risk, like inherent risk, control risk. Like here we
No, no,
don't
no.
need to
That is
mention it.
not necessary. No. Because when it comes to
Okay.
accounting standard, it is understood it is an inherent risk. Why mention it
Okay. Yes.
separately?
Okay.
Why
Yes.
mention
Yes. Yes.
it? Why
Got it.
quote it and mention it? Understood?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Got it.
So this is going to be a copy paste thing. Make sure if your copy paste is not working in your exam, shorten things up. Okay. So
Yes,
here
ma'am.
there are too many things available, right? So instead of copy pasting, I can simply say that Knight Electronics company offers customers a 3-year annual service of products. Okay. And customers pay for the services in advance. That's it. Clear?
Yes,
Shorten
ma'am.
it up. Okay. So copy
Yes.
paste is
Got
up
it.
to you because it is already there in the scenario. You can do that. Okay. Just
Mm.
Friday here. So kids are here. That's why. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So C plus P is done. Now we are going to mention the standard. So when we mention the standard, we start with as per. Okay. IFRS 15. So what does IFRS 15 say? Revenue from contract with customers, right?
Yes.
So what does IFRS 15 say? We can recognize revenue only when the performance obligation is met, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
the revenue from the services should be recorded if only that period is covered in the year. Understood? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So only those revenue whose service is being covered in the year, we can say that the performance obligation is met, right? Otherwise, it is not met. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
I'm just going to, okay. So as per IFRS 15 revenue from contract with customers, the revenue, okay, from service should be recorded over the period of over the service period, right? Comma, when the performance obligation is met, right? So that is the standard.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now what happens if the obligation is not met? What happens for those amount? Those amount becomes a
Revenue
deferred
is over.
payment, deferred obligation. Clear, no?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So any deferred payments done, okay, should be recorded in liabilities until the service is completed. Okay.
Yes.
Understood the standard and the connection with the with the service contract.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
this is the standard we are talking about, right? So what happens if they don't follow this? That is the implication or the cost. Clear? So what happens?
Yes, ma'am.
There is a risk that
Over
Knight Electronic
overstatement.
Company must have recorded the revenue as a whole without completing the services or revenue as a whole as it has been received in advance, right? Okay. Thus, what would happen? Thus, overstating. What does it overstate? Revenue. And understanding what? Tell me. Liabilities. Clear?
Liabilities. Yes,
Understood?
ma'am.
Simple.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what do you do?
Okay.
So, you're going to, first of all, you don't know how they recognize revenue, right? So, you're going
Yes.
to ask them, you're going to obtain their recognition policy of the revenue. Okay. And you're going to review whether whatever policy they have adopted is in alliance with the IFRS 15. Understood? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What does IFRS 15 say for services? If the services is covered for a period of time, revenue should be recognized over that period of time, right? And you must make sure that these revenue are not recorded when the advance was actually received. Clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we are going to write that. Obtain revenue recognition policy of Knight Electronics Company and their review the compliance with IFRS 15. Okay.
Yes.
Just a moment. IFRS 15 revenue recognition. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you don't stop there. Ensuring that the revenue, the contract is recognized over the contract period and not when the revenue has been received in advance. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, it doesn't stop here. Now you're going to look into the details of the contract. That is not here in the first place, in the first paragraph, what did you do? You took the revenue recognition policy, right? Now you're going to
Yes.
obtain the contract itself and you're going to understand the performance obligation. Then you're going to verify it with the calculations and you are going to ensure that all the allocation has been correctly done of the transaction price to the performance obligation met. Remember the 5 rules of IFRS 15. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Understood? No?
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
Okay. Let's see. So today everything has come together. Kids don't have school. My OTP is pending in my landline in my Indian number. Everything came together. Okay. So you're going to obtain, okay, the details of the contract, that is the service contract, and understand the performance obligation. You studied the standards, right? Because I'm assuming
Yes, ma'am.
that you have studied the standard and I'm assuming you know the standard very well. That is why I'm
You know,
directly
I
asking
studied
you.
it.
Okay. So
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
going to obtain the details of the contract and you're going to understand the performance obligation, comma, verify the calculations
Transaction price.
and ensure that the transaction
Price.
price have been correctly aligned or allocated to the performance
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
obligation. Okay, clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the next one. Let's see. And I'm very done. Okay. Next is another standard. Okay. Component parts are purchased from a number of suppliers. Okay. Prices of the components have
Mhm.
been steadily increasing over the past 2 years. Okay. So prices have been steadily increasing. What does that imply? Tell me. That means the purchase cost is going up, right?
Yes.
Okay. The forecast financial statement for the year end 30th September 2005 shows the inventory valued at cost, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's see. The third, fourth one, inventory valued at cost, right? Okay. So I'm assuming my copy paste doesn't work. So I'm going to write it down. Okay. So increase in component cost resulting in lower gross profit margin. Okay.
Yes,
Profit
ma'am.
margin. Full stop. Now you're going to mention the standard. Okay. Now, what is the standard related with this? Tell me.
PPI 16.
Huh? No, it is inventory that we're talking about, right? So what is it?
Okay, okay. I
IAS.
used to.
Okay. So as
Yes,
per
yes,
IAS 2, inventories, okay,
yes.
comma, inventories
Cost
should be valued at
at cost or NRV.
lower of cost of NRV.
know.
Clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we are not getting the gross profit margin that we have actually intended, right? Because the gross profit margin is falling. So that
Yes.
means the fair value of the inventory is falling. So tell me, in this case, would the cost be lower or the fair value would be lower? Hello?
Fair value should be lower, ma'am.
Fair value
Like,
is lower, right? But what
yes,
did they say?
yes.
What did they say? What did they say? They said that they have valued at cost. Somebody, are you listening? They said that they
Yes,
valued at
ma'am.
cost. Don't sleep, okay? Students often
No,
sleep
no,
in
I'm
MBA
listening. I'm
class.
listening.
Okay.
No, 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 I'm listening.
So the standard says lower of cost or NRV, but in the question they have clearly mentioned they have valued at cost. The problem is if the gross profit
Yes,
margin is lowering down, that means the product doesn't have that much market value that it used to, right?
yes,
Clear. So that means the
yes,
value should be
yes,
brought down again to its fair value, not the cost. Understood? So we're going to mention
yes.
that.
Got it.
The NRV of the components must have fallen, okay, below the cost because selling cost you always deduct from it, right?
Yes,
Below the cost, comma, the night electronics company, however, has recorded the inventories at cost, okay, comma, resulting in what? What does it result in? Resulting in
ma'am.
what? What does it make? Resulting in overstatement
Yes,
of
ma'am.
inventory. Okay, clear? Understood? Overstatement of inventories.
Ma'am, we have to like this and proper wordings or like I was thinking of that only.
What happened?
I was thinking of that. Like we have to write in this proper wordings like
Ah,
uh
every student have that doubt. Don't go by my words, okay? Because whatever I
no
write
problem.
comes from an experienced person, okay? So my writing could be
Yes,
different
yes,
from yours, okay?
yes,
But
yes.
make sure the overstatement word is there, okay? Also, the standard as much as possible, you have to study the standards as it is. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Standards are very important to risk because almost if you have 8 risks to identify, almost 6 of them would be from standards. Understood? So standards
Okay.
are very,
Got it,
advanced
ma'am.
standards are very important for AA. Clear? And the wordings you
Got
will
it, ma'am.
get to it once you practice and practice and practice. Towards the end of this month, you would be able to keep up. Understood?
Got
Now,
it, ma'am.
if you have studied the risk chapter, you must have studied about sampling, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what do we do? Do we have the provision to test all the inventories and see? No, right?
No, ma'am.
So what are
Yes.
we going to do? We're going to select a sample of inventories. And then you're going to look
Okay.
towards the purchase invoices of the same. You're going to look at the selling price charged at the year end. And you're going to ensure that the NRV is actually above the cost. Clear. If they are so confident on
Okay.
recording the inventories at cost, then NRV should be higher. Clear. Because whichever is lower is
Yes.
what we record. Understood the logic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So select a sample of, okay, inventories, comma, compare. I'll be changing all the words that we study here towards procedures. Understood? Okay. So
Okay.
procedures are actually a lengthened version of audit response, but a much more polished words would be there. Clear? For risk, we can
Got it,
use
ma'am.
any word. That is fine. For procedures, we need audit words. Understood? Okay. So compare the purchase invoices. That is the source document that we got in order to test, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is,
Yes, ma'am.
I assure you again, you don't know all this. You know from me. Okay. So I'm the one who is teaching you. You should do this. Okay. So don't be tense that, oh, I didn't know. I have to look at the purchase invoice in order to do this because you don't know. I'm telling you, this is how you do it. Clear, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you're going to take the purchase on invoice of the same. Okay. With selling price charged upon it. Okay. Okay. At the year end. Okay. Okay. To ensure that the NRV is higher than cost. Clear, no? You didn't know.
Yes, ma'am.
I have taught you this. Okay. So if they are
Okay.
very confident about the inventory being at cost that is lower of cost, then you're going to take the inventory, you're going to check it with the purchase invoice and the listed price. That means they would have a selling price listed, right? So you're going to look at the selling
Yes.
price and you're going to ensure that the NRV is actually higher than the cost. Clear, no?
Got it, ma'am.
Now, this issue has been there, right? The supplier is, increasing their cost and the gross profit margin is very low, right? So this issue is there. So you need to now know that whether or not this finance director is aware of this issue. Clear, no? So next is that discuss with the FD, that is the finance director. You must write in full form, okay? Whether they have been aware of the issue. Over, done. Clear?
Mm.
Okay, they are aware of the issue. Clear, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next one. You're going to do one more. Okay. And all the five of them, you're going to try on your own, on with your own words. And then you compare where you went wrong. Clear, no?
Okay.
Okay. So in
Yes, ma'am.
June 2005, Knight Electronics Company decided to revalue its premises, which had previously been accounted for using historic cost model. So this is IA 16. Clear? Properties with a
Yes, yes.
carrying amount under the cost model of 3.8 million were revalued 8.4 million based on a valuation performed by management, not the expert, but the management. The finance director also carried out an extensive review on non-current assets lives, okay, and decided to extend the useful life of the property, plant, and equipment from 5 to 8 years, right? So everything is fishy there. Understood?
Yes, yes, sir.
So here you're going to
Yes,
split
ma'am.
it in between two parts. This is the fifth one, that is the revaluation thing.
Okay.
This is the fifth one. Okay. And this is
Yes.
the sixth one. Understood?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So the heading is first one, fifth one is revaluation of PPV. Clear?
Yes.
You're going to copy paste about the premises being revalued. Clear? Okay.
Yes,
You're going
ma'am.
to mention everything. I'll just mark it here. You're going to mention Night Electronics have revalued, decided to revalue the premises. It was previously under historic cost model. The revaluation has been done on cost model from 3.8 million to 8.4 million based on the valuation performed by the management. This much should be there. Clear?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, there is a change in accounting policy. This is not IAS standard as per se, but this is an accounting policy change, right? Okay.
Yes.
So there could be,
Yes.
and we can see that there's a significant difference between the carrying value of the item, right? And the revalued amount. Clear? So we're going to mention
Yes.
that. Okay. There has been an accounting policy change, or there has been a change in the accounting policy. Okay. In valuing the premises from cost model to revaluation model, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Revaluation model, which resulted in significant differences, okay, between the carrying value and understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're getting a you're understanding things, right? You're not yet good to go on your own. I just need to know whether you're understanding on how to approach the question. That's all.
Yes.
You're
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I'm getting
you're
quite afraid.
nowhere
Like,
you're nowhere ready to approach this on your own. You need my assistance still, but I need to know whether you're
uh,
understanding things. Okay?
yes, yes, ma'am. I'm understanding the things. Yes.
Okay. So that is all you need for this stage. Okay? This is a building up
Yes.
thing. That is,
Ma'am, like, will they give us marks, like, if we, like, draft answers, like, in not a very good language, like,
yes,
we will
yes,
be writing?
they'll give you mark. Don't go my writing because I previously worked as a content writer. Okay. So
Oh,
not
okay.
all the people are like that. So they may have differences in framing sentences. So and that is okay. ACCA knows that. They don't need perfect answers. If perfect answers are what they look for, then they won't give the exams, right? Clear.
Yes,
Because they know
yes, ma'am.
people have different languages, they have different tones, so it is okay. Clear?
Okay.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
the management is the person who did the revaluation, right? So what is the risk? There could be a risk that the management did the revaluation wrong. The revaluation was inappropriate. And also, it could be planning, right? In order to inflate the values so that they can get the expected stock exchange listing. Clear? Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So if that kind of
Got
thing
it, ma'am.
happen, what happens? It is going to overstate the SOPL and
Yeah.
SOFP. Understood? Simple.
Yes,
SOPL,
yes, ma'am.
statement of profit and loss. SOFP, statement of financial position. Clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you know this in your mind, right? I'm going to frame it. Okay. So there
Okay.
is a risk that you're going to start by saying that. Okay. There is a risk that the valuation performed by the management could be inappropriate, right?
Yes,
Clear?
yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And could have been devised such that It inflates the assets for obtaining the stock exchange listing. Clear?
Yes,
Understood? No? This is years
yes,
and
ma'am.
years of teaching somebody. My language is years and years of teaching. I have been in this profession for 4+ years. Clear? I don't expect my students to use the same language, same tone. No. But when you do the problems again and again, that language would really come into you. Clear? That is
Ma'am, definitely. Like once we will
of
also
being
be a
formal.
professional, so we will
Yeah.
be.
Of being formal, that formal language would come to you as and when you do the problems. Did you, when you started with ethical thread, did you actually feel like you could do it? No, no, right?
No, no.
Yeah, that is the same.
I now I enjoy like that reading their questions and
Yeah,
all the things. So
yeah,
yeah, I got
yeah,
familiar with that.
yeah. So same way, risk is not something that you could do in a whim. You're going to need practice and practice and practice. Clear?
Yes,
That is
ma'am.
why when people say AA is purely a theory paper, I tell them no. If you are going to look AA in that way, then you're going to fail. Clear? It's not a theory, it's
Yes,
application. Clear? So what does this
yes,
indicate?
yes,
This would overstate the SOFP and SOPL. Clear? You must make it in full sentences. I have the liberty of trying short forms. Okay. Now,
okay.
so what is the response? See, we know that the management did this, right? So we have
Yes,
that authority or the right to question the management. Clear? So
okay,
we can't say we question, we discuss. Okay? We don't question, we discuss.
okay,
Clear, no? So the audit team is
okay.
going to
Yes,
discuss the same with the management. We are going to ask them on what basis did you do the revaluation. Clear?
yes,
Okay?
yes, ma'am.
And we are also going to review the
Oh,
methods they use, the assumptions that is made upon the revaluation. Clear, no? So that is the first response.
yes, ma'am.
The audit team should discuss with the management the basis of revaluation performed, full stop. Okay. The audit team
Yes,
should review the methods and assumptions made during the revaluation process or revaluation performed. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Understood? No? We don't
Yes,
stop
ma'am.
here. So if they have revalued, they would have prepared a revaluation report. Understood? Valuation report would be there. It must be there. That is how it works. Clear? So
Okay.
this is a
Yes,
new
ma'am.
information. Whenever you get a new information, write it, scribble it down on your lecture notes or somewhere else. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you get a revaluation report, valuation report, you that means your company is going to prepare the valuation report. So you're going to obtain the report. Okay. And then
Yes, ma'am.
that report should be matched with the non-current asset register. Clear? Why is that? In order to
Okay.
ensure that the revaluation has been correctly entered. Understood?
Okay.
You did
Yes,
FA.
ma'am.
Did you do FA?
No, ma'am. FR.
Okay. So you did FR. So I must introduce you to the non-current asset register. It is basically a whole book which contains all the information of all the NCAs available with the firm. Understood?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the valuation report,
Yes, ma'am.
whatever value is in there in the report should be agreed to the non-current asset register to ensure that the amount has been correctly recorded. Clear, no?
Enter. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So obtain the valuation report, okay, on the
Yes.
revaluation and agree the same with the NCA register, okay, in order to
Okay.
ensure that the revaluation has been correctly record it.
Correct, ma'am.
Full stop. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll stop here. And your homework is, I don't need you to frame very good answers and stuffs. I just need you to fill
Okay.
the column of risk, first two paragraphs. Okay, that is the heading, the
Okay.
copy paste, and the standard. Only the standard. Because for useful life, there is
Oh,
a standard. You can't, the useful life is to be reviewed annually, right? Right? As per IAS 16. I
yes,
want you
yes,
to write that until
yes,
that point.
yes,
Okay, because when you write this, you get half marks. When you write this, you get 1/4 mark. Understood?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for the sixth one, I need you to write the heading, the copy paste, and the standard. That's it. That's the homework.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Because these three things are
Yes,
already something that you already know. Auditing, you don't know.
yes,
I'm assuming you don't know. Still, you don't know. You would know with practice. Clear?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. This video would be public.